His main focus is rugby and basketball. And also we've had the Kilifi Sailing Week. So the Kilifi that took place last week, both at the Kilifi Bowl and also the Kilifi, joined by Evan Simiyu and his team, who is from the Mombasa Yacht Club. And also, so he's going to be giving us an update on the Olympic Games as he's covering it. So then also today, events that we're looking at, Prime Cabinet Secretary is leading the TVET National Research Conference at the Kabete National Polytechnic. Also, the Ivory belongs to the Elephant Walk, happening in Langata. About that. So, straight into a conversation, and it is Games Paris 2024. Kenya started the action on Wednesday with Shujaa being in action, playing against Australia. They went and played also against more in the pool phase of the competition. They were not able to make it to the played in placing matches and eventually finished 9th after wins over Uruguay and Samoa. Is Willie Wex is kept up with our team. And Wex, let me start. Bas, good.
Wahome.
All right. Now let's start straightforward.
Yes.
And take a look at and the build-up. We know they qualified direct with that win that to them, and played in the Challenger Series. That was how. Just put a context, into Shujaa's season, knowing they played about what?
For
5.
For Shujaa, it wasn't. They had the Challenger Series to try and get back into the HSBC 7 Series, which they were able to get back into. But the biggest limitation came into tournaments, because the best they could get at this level, they didn't have this type of competition at the Challenger Series. So when teams that are seasoned, Argentina ranked #1 in the world in the 7 Series. Australia were ranked 3rd, as highly ranked, but they had the proficiency and the skill level came on a back foot. Not an excuse, considering what these guys had done to that level. So for me, I wouldn't say that it was a minus. I feel like it was a plus, considering got the best performance out of the Olympics, finishing 9th.
And 9th also, I think, Tokyo. Yes.
2020.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
All right. So let's look also at the standout players that you did, from the young side, because one of the conversations that's been said is about the age of this impact that they've had.
I would single out first and foremost John Okoth, Menengai-Ole's rugby player. He's very instrumental, to consider that he put in 2 tries in our. Also players to look out for and who had a heavy impact in the team. Patrick Adongo, Daystar University Falcons, a very great player. And then to look at the leadership, Vincent Onyala, Tony Omondi, then likes of Ambetsa. All these players had something building to the win. And the technical bench, you have seasoned Kevin Mwema there to marshal the team through this, because if you look at how we were in the pool stages, we are yet to win a match in pool stages in the Olympics, but what they were able to do by 26 points, some more, that we give them a blow in the 9-10 playoffs. So you have the likes of Andrew Amonde, who's the 20 Singapore series. He was the captain and still being handling the SNC of the team. So what's in the technical bench and the young players, looking at what do they have, as these players will still be playing in 2028.
Well, it's a possibility that this is a team that is well prepared, they can play for another 2 Olympic Games. And, you know, Collins and Jerry was speaking a couple of nights ago. What's a possibility?
Very true on that. Conditioning of the respective, is in the conditioning of the respective players, because all boils down to what are you set up in? What's the setup for? This is the sevens development part. Don't forget, as much as we have the Shuja, we have the other Morans, and these guys are always feeding into. They feed into main Shuja. You have the likes of Elvis Olukosi. There is Mutu. All these who are players who were in action yesterday at the
Christie Sevens.
The difference between them and other players. These are players who are showcasing why they're in that development. They can be able to feed into this program. So it may not be that all the 12 who Paris Olympics would make it to like 2 and 3 Olympic series, but it will be a scenario where some, if you're able to get who are able to go through all these phases. You have the likes of Asati, Jojo Oro. How well can they build into it? You have Kevin Wekesa from Cabras, instrumental figure. He reminds me of Andrew Omonde when Andrew was playing, whereby you have can shield a rack and they cannot be cleared out of it. So such is the scenario.
And look at where Kenya is vis-a-vis the rest of the world. Okay. He started off, you know, with Australia,
yes,
Argentina,
yes.
But also let's take a look at the other quarter. The Blitz box defeated New Zealand.
They said it's to be them as I said, because that's where they played in the Rugby World Cup final, where South Africa, the Springboks emerged. It was to consider that we beat South Africa in the African qualifiers for Kenya to make the Olympics, but then South Africa, who, let's not forget, already were able to have a better setting and were able to execute to go into the quarters. The All Blacks, they knocked out the All Blacks, and then they lost out in the semis. Another build and a unique scenario from the entire thing. I think the most was a French people, they say it's not a shocker that they were able to beat Fiji. Fiji, who've been unbeaten Olympics sevens.
Well, Fiji have got 3 Olympic gold medals, three Olympic medals in their history, yes. 2 gold and a silver. Yeah. Sport, rugby sevens, 2016, 2021, and now 20. You know, we inside yes. And the introduction of DuPont.
Antoine DuPont coming into sevens. At first, people are saying that's a flop. You won't be able. Then, looking at what they were able to execute in the 7 series, they were able to do a lot. When they were able to make it to a final, going against a team that has never lost an Olympic game,
rugby sevens,
and they were able to beat them by, is it 26 or is it 28-7?
You don't do that to Fiji.
And don't forget, Fiji, even the ones who drew the first blood. Usually, scenario is when Fiji score first, usually it's hard for you to pile back. I would say, as much as we're giving credit to France, even Kenya. In a final.
In a final.
Yes, sir.
Singapore 2016 and winning the cup. Next, and joining us now is Gregory Mulemi. He is a sports FKF Premier League broadcast team, so you'd always hear his voice when you've got the FKF Premier League matches coming through. All right, we're here with Wex and trying to put together the entire story of the Kenya this team.
Guys are disappointed group, but then the positives were a young squad, 24 years of age average. Vibes to as they prepare for the series that comes in under 2 months' time. Maybe this is a squad that can emulate the likes of the 2016 squad that won leg in Singapore, as Willie Wex has put it. To me, I think many expect these young boys because they had a very good campaign during the Challenger Series, and Spain was something that gave Kenyans hope that they might do something at the Olympics, maybe win a game, knockout stages, which didn't really happen. But I look at a squad which they had in Miramas, very good preparations that gave the boys a good vibes. You could see all over social media, and hoping that Kenya could actually get out of that group. But then you look at the group they were playing against, won the World Rugby 7 series, and then you look at how, if I recall that game against Argentina, the Shujaa boys started. But then, you know, you really collapse against the best. And that is what
actually
really happened.
The first 5.5.
Yes.
Totally true.
Yeah.
Totally true.
Running to a 7-0 score. Like, yeah. We actually, someone from the Challenger Series beating the men. And in the second half, we collapsed. Poor defensive mistakes cost us, especially and then playing a man down. To me, it was something that really had a huge disadvantage. But then the most disappointing result of all, I think, was against Samoa at the last group stage match, because these are just guys who had been relegated from the top tier, and now the Challenger Series. So guys were like, at least there could have been a battle, but that really expected. But redeeming themselves first ever match, and then beating Samoa later on Saturday evening, it's something that will be looking at these games as one of the best preparations you'd ever prepare for the new World Rugby 7 series.
Well, something that, because you've mentioned Coach Kevin Wambua, Bling as they call him, said, and you know, and give, and I'll let each one of you, you know, have your, is that the Kenyan team should play for 14 minutes, not 10.
Wow.
His words.
Yes, because it's you know, because we've always talked about concentration, and that's something that has really affected. Say for athletics, maybe a few incidences. How Kenya played during the first few minutes of any match. It's something that I think Coach Kevin Wambua and say that this is what we need to work on, because you find that the 4 minutes in sevens rugby is a lot of time. That maybe the concentration levels drop during the number of times where mistakes really happen. Maybe we are into it in the net, out of it in the next 4 minutes, and you know, in 4 minutes you can get a crazy scoreline.
What Blink said was it's very accurate, and I'll put it on the game management. You have 7 minutes first half. You go for 2 minutes break. You the 7 minutes. What's the leadership within the game? You have a penalty. It's deep inside your 22. What do you do? Do you go for a line up and go? Do you ask for a scrum? It's all in that decision crunch time, because if you're in your 22, any mistake there can take you back. Well, you may lose that possession. You may get a penalty against you. So what do? Do you further
kick?
Yeah, further down, or you can even play it. You can even kick down, or you can even tap and go. But it's all dependent on how fast can you make that decision, because at the end of the day, so as Blink stated, it's how can each and every player throughout that period. That simple lapse in concentration just for 1 second.
And I think that's the last group stage match, whereby we couldn't get out of our 22. Everyone was asking themselves, like, how?
I'll point out a scenario I not agree with, but the conditioning of compared to the other teams, they looked more superior in terms of size. Not to invalidate our team, is that to say that that body size and how well they worked well for us in the Challenger Series. But now going the series itself, you're looking at a squad which you have. There was a time guys were going for a halftime break, and the players were just to have a conversation. Guess who was the biggest mass in that whole setting? It's was retired more than 3 years. That's what I'm saying. So that's the scenario of how well now do they go. Because now we've finished the Challenger Series. Now we're back into the 7th series. How well do preparation for that will be what will be enabling us going into, is it the every year, the likes of now when you go to the HSB series and then going into Rugby 7th World Cup coming up.
Yes.
So such scenarios. So how well does that come in handy?
Actually, you've just preempted something that I wanted to put out, because it's now another 2 months. I mean, for them, 48 hours out of the village, so they are going to be back home either tonight or early tomorrow morning. The next August, September, going into October, what for this Shuja side, because they're getting into now what's your 7 series. It's not the old 16-team series.
No.
If you're not in the top 8, you're headed for a relegation.
Personally, I think maybe they need to have. I don't know if they can actually get somewhere else where they can do. Because I'm looking at right now the Kenya Rugby 7 series is ongoing, and and you look at this. I think it can help them. Some of the players. A unit together, I think they need something like a camp that happened in Miramas. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but
it could be just good.
A high performance center can be set up in Kasarani. I have all the conditions, their minds ready for the World Rugby 7 series. If that's going to happen, beast in the 7th, despite the disparity and looking at the how they're built. And if you look at a squad like Argentina, I don't think they're so heavily built, but you look well they handle their ball.
Okay.
You look at how swift they are. You can capitalize on your strength.
Those guys are solid. Those are oak trees.
that's respond to Gregory, because the scenario is you may look as if that person is not heavily set their 9 against the 30, their 9 is bigger. You set their 13 against.
So in strategic.
No, like yes. At the end of the day, that mass has to be built. Mike Friday did with the with the team, and that's where it built. It's just that there was more conditioning that was done during a period. So I would suggest. It's all even in budgets. If the union is able to set them up into a very set them up in a good camp.
Not the 2 weeks we are used to.
Yes. Yeah. About camp, we have to also remember that the 7th series that's ongoing is also a scenario where the technical bench is also using it to pick up on the new players into it. Need to play in the to stay game ready. You can't be saying I am only set for the scenario of what happened with the previous squad that got us relegated. Most of those players rugby, they're not playing Kenya Cup, they're not playing the series. They're saying I play.
Anyway, now Wex, as we close down this conversation around, move on to basketball and later football. Straight player contracts. What should be, what's the position that the union should take at this time? Because player contracts are these players and make sure that they can play an entire season without having, the distraction. They can actually say that for 1 year, I'm going to be a professional rugby player.
Budgets again. It's all in the resource that is available. If you have the resource to execute, you see better set up countries like South Africa, New Zealand. They have players who they reach out to and you sign a contract that are part of the for a year or for 2 years. Someone signs into that program.
And it's salaried.
Yes.
Yeah.
So This player has been signed with the team. Entire project for this 1 year. They have their salary. As Wahome stated, you don't have a distraction. You're not come from where will what happen, where will what. Everything is set well. So it becomes an easier scenario for the union with resource, if you can be able to tie this play. Even them, they'll be in a better mindset to go into any tournament.
All right, yes. You know, break down, that's one of the first tournaments that's gone down. France, 28-7 over Fiji. Kenya finishing in 9th place. Well, let's move on to another conversation. And 1 week before the Olympic Games, there was one very heavy was about South Sudan. They won by 1 single point against South Sudan. 101
against USA.
Against USA. 100. Last night, or rather yesterday at noon, they played again. They did win their game. So let's talk about this. What's the whole, you know, looking at them, we beat them, I think in 20, around
5.
in the zone 5. We beat them then.
There was a zone 5 game. There was also a friendly that was set up here at Nyayo.
The qualifier for the Afro-Chan.
Afro-Chan,
yes. Yeah. And that is where Kenya beat South Sudan. I think was meme.
Yes.
Where he was trying to hide into the dressing room at Nyayo. But let's your takeout from that first game that we saw from South Sudan.
I think looking at a team that has ambition, and of course they're trying to unite a nation through basketball. Playing basketball first as a nation in 2017, and the world. I can say they're on top of the world, not because of the performance against the USA. They've experienced from Africa to the top leagues in Australia, in Europe, and of course in the end. You that this is a country that has realized that this is the right path for us to take, and agility in basketball and the skill, of course the talent, and have this nation come together. I watched them against Puerto Rico. There's a time they were tied at 23 all, and then I saw there's a player called John NBA.
Carlick Jones.
Yeah. He came in and calmed the nerves, and that is where they got this match. And it's something that showed you that this is a team that it's no longer, you know, like they call Wex, we call Greg, you tell them, come, there's a tournament next week. That is what used to happen in South Sudan, where the world to come and camp in Nairobi, and then have the likes of Deng come talk to them, and then their tournament, they're not really up to it. But right now, they've stuck together. You can see there is, and it's working. And for me, I will not be surprised to see them reach the knockout stages of this.
Let's just, you know, go back to something that happened. Because when they had that, you know, they were playing against South Sudan. I doubt they've got a player who's taller than 6'4".
Oh,
that was the most ignorant of statements that
misinformed
came out of the build-up to their first game against the USA. That is the show in Fox Sports 1, and the statement that came out was he looked down on South Africa. Not even informed. They're even saying I heard that tomorrow we'll be playing East Sudan, and we hope that as they looked down and stated that South Sudan, they're assuming there's no player in the country.
Doesn't he even watch players in the NBA?
Not even watch. That's what I'm saying, ignorant in the sense that to look that tallest player, one of the tallest players to have ever graced the NBA floor.
The tallest ever, 7'7", Manuta.
To have set, and his son Ball is already now playing with the Phoenix Suns. That the president of the South Sudan Basketball Federation, that's Lord for Miami Heat, has played for Cleveland Cavaliers, has played one of the best contracts in it's part of the resource that's still keeping the South Sudanese team alive. Well, we know each other from, okay. So you won't hold that against me. But then, just to bring it, this South Sudanese team, what has given them an edge? We had a way better squad than them 2019 going into 2020. Yeah. Yes, but if you look at Tyler, the likes of Tyler Ongwae, Ariel or Carl, yes. Yeah. If you look at that composition of players, is no longer as is. We bring them back together for any tournament. So that's what I'm saying. For South Sudan, don't forget, South Sudan, there is no...
there are no arena.
To have an indoor arena, they may not have that, but they may have the basketball court. But what they... a basketball league.
Yeah, they don't have a...
There is no basketball league. Yeah. The Cobra squad came here the other day to play against them. Talking to their coach, and he told me, you know, for us, we come together, we go across tournaments. So what Luol Deng has done is that they've looked across the world. As you stated, they've exported across and not exported deliberately. This is something you need to mention. People as refugees is people who went to seek maybe an asylum in Australia. These guys have grown into the sport that they love. So right now you're having Wenyan Gabriel with the Lakers. So he's one of the players who LeBron and they're acknowledging that this is a very great country in terms of what they've been able to, what they will be able to support, all that they've gone through. So for them, Wahome, I'm grateful for what, and for them to have a first win. He was running for Sudan.
Not South Sudan.
Not South Sudan.
Yes.
So this is their first win in an Olympics. First win. Wow. Irrespective of its qualifiers, that was their first, and as you stated, their favorites to medal. And they may be facing the likes of Serbia.
Actually, that's because I want to talk about that group. We saw the USA.
The USA.
Wake-up call. Because we saw the USA wake up, you know, play against Serbia last night.
It was heated up.
I mean, you could see they were trailing. They were trailing by 7 at one point.
Yes.
Then suddenly they just let it all flow. And I mean, performance by Kevin Durant.
And you'll never see LeBron animated as he was yesterday, arguing with the officials. I think they felt that we're gonna get a disappointed inside. No, we gotta do something. Yeah,
they'd already gotten a scare from South Sudan.
And a wake-up call for the USA, and I believe and Curry and LeBron, they're playing their last summer games. I believe let's say when they'll be hosting.
LeBron might want to play with his son.
Wow. Focus. So I'll just say that for the league, the trio, this is Steph Curry's only ever Olympics. He won the Olympics, but
LeBron has also.
LeBron has won. It's just that they lost when he was part of the team. But for them, this is like their last. And as you stated, to see LeBron animated, to see him going at it with the So I think it was a scare at one point, but then calm composure from the Steph Curry, and he was able just to play around with the match of the players, and they were able to get the win on that one. Also to look at what South Sudan was able to do. Puerto Rico going 90-79. At one point it looked as if it was a first quarter. You know, I'm like, bro, this is basketball. It's a game of adjustments. You're allowed to do your adjustments, and they can come in handy towards the end of the game. And the game is not won in a quarter. At the end of the fourth quarter.
When the buzzer.
Yes.
So now everyone's talking about this group. Puerto Rico, the USA, Serbia, South Sudan. Who will miss the quarters here?
So you have the two-time regular season MVP and the final from the Denver Nuggets leading the Serbia team.
Yes.
Puerto Rico, is it like I'll be rooting for South Sudan. So for the other three, you guys figure who else is joining us. Who else is joining us? Yeah. South, I'm rooting for South Sudan. So but as a technical America would want to. They've won the Olympics.
Yeah, they have.
They had to bring in the dream team in 90 could get their first medal.
Yes.
Yes.
Then 96 Atlanta, then 2000 in Sydney, then 04 Athens, then
yeah.
Beijing, 12 London, 16 Rio, 20 Tokyo. So for them, like once they like a Kenya and with the steeplechase back then before
before it was broken. But you look at this group. I watched Serbia versus USA. Easy
with Serbia.
Yeah, with Serbia. Against USA, I think gonna smash South Sudan for the reason that they've learned where they were stepped on the toes. Something that I don't want to talk about it, but I'll give you. Okay,
smash. Because I look at it differently. I look at it and say that you see, for all games, even me, I'm going to do my adjustments. You see that? That's why I love the game of basketball, because a final is not one game.
No.
Well, watch that game on KBC Channel 1. Actually, it's going to be there on the 31st.
Yes.
And that match is slated M.
Wow.
Mark that on your calendar. But overall, for the rest of the competition, seen Eurobasket and the kind of competitions that we can see from clubs. Greece.
Yeah.
How well do you see these are the other pools?
I think nations will thrive because by the all they're on home turf, and second, I think as you've seen basketball. We've talked about the likes of the class of 90. Right now, the bridge has been gapped, and you look at how these European nations have been performing, even that has made them realize that they can actually beat anyone on any day. So we are so much focused on the United States, and forgetting that the likes of and other European nations, look at how they've been performing over the that tells you that there are no clear favorites up to this moment.
Back then, they said in 1992, Team USA faced 9 players who are playing in the. Now this team of 2024 is facing 60 players who are playing in the NBA. So the game has.
Well, there you've had it. And Wex, let me come to you. Women's basketball. Estella, are going to be replaced.
They're playing later today.
They're playing later today. They're playing at noon against Australia. Have Germany, Belgium, Canada, France, the USA, the WNBA, Japan, then China and Serbia.
Well, you do know there is history between Nigeria and Australia. There is a match that had blows being thrown.
Yeah.
So interest in watching that game, but as stated, how well do we just look at? For Nigeria, they've been consistent at it. They've not been.
They've not lowered their standard. They either maintained or
standards. We leave it to unions. But I'll put it in terms of because people, the players grind.
Yeah.
Players grind. Players give it their all. I'm looking forward to this game, as I was telling Wahome, because of how they had. You had the dad who's a Nigerian, and she plays for Aussie, and she wanted to. There was a stiff, and there's a right hook. I'm sorry to talk about boxing, but there was a right that friendly, just on the sidelines. But how well do you? But it's a good opportunity for them now to level it out, not on the sidelines, but now on the court. So Nigeria, for that one, I'm rooting for them.
All right. So there. And remember that KBC Channel 1 Olympics, KBC, that's a hashtag that you can see there. And joining us now is Sport. And I know she is going to be glued from 2 p.m. as Agnes. Welcome.
Thank you.
So far, just an overall take of what you've seen at the Olympic Games. I know we'll be touching on basketball, the football competition as it's coming to a close, and then volleyball.
Basically, I'm happy for when my fellow colleagues were talking about it. So I'll be rooting. Overall, I'm basketball as much, but I'm proud African to be associated with South Sudan. So I'll be rooting for the day.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, now let's move on to the football competition. And let me. We've seen, Zambia. They've got actually the most expensive woman footballer in history. Greg, your take on the women's competition?
Underwhelming from Africa, but big girls, I'll call them the big girls, are getting it right. I have a stat that might shock everyone here, that Nigeria has participated in most of the competition, but have won only a single match. So everyone, but when they reach the Olympics, then I think something just happens. Yeah, so in 11 Olympic Games they played. So that's a staggering figure that we'll be looking at like, wow, this really not happening. But I'm also happy for Zambia. It reminds me of the famous saying that Europe, which had a very good attack. I think it was Barcelona. They had an attack, Ferrari, but then the defense was very weak. And guys were saying like, it's so good, but the defense is so weak. I'm referring to Zambia because you look, it has, of course, the best striker in women football, Banda. She scored a hat-trick of hat-tricks at the Olympics. Her first hat-trick against China in Tokyo 2020. She did the same against the Netherlands in Tokyo 2020. And then last night she scored against Australia. 3 hat-tricks in the Olympics, becoming the first woman to do that.
The football match with a 6-5.
6-5. But that's like. Yeah. So, but what disappointed me is that Zambia were leading by 5 goals to. It came to pass that they conceded yet another 3 goals. Mind-boggling. It's not something that I really expected, and talking about especially in the first session in rugby, where we said that something that has really been a thorn in the flesh for many Africans, and I don't know what happened, whereby we throw away the lead, we not focused towards the crucial. That is what is happening with Zambia. But I'm looking at them giving themselves hope. Before Tokyo 2020, they beat us to qualify for that tournament. I remember them beating us. And you can see the strides they made qualifying back to back for the summer games. Women football at the Olympics, there are plenty of things to talk about. The likes of Mata playing in her 4th straight Olympics. Yeah. She's never won any global trophy, save, and this is her last Olympic, as she says. At 38, she's one of the best ever.
I think the most capped footballer of all time. 200
caps. That means that she's broken all the records that I don't think anyone else is gonna break anytime soon. And we talked about how they performed, and only 1 win in the 11, losing 10, not even drawing. That is not a good figure, and that means that as a team and the performances at the Olympic Games, then there's something that needs to be done, because these are not good results heading forward.
Now, Wex, coming to the Olympics, some news that was a shocker. Canada coming as the defending champions, but then they find already deducted 6 points.
Yes.
And they won the 2 games, yeah?
And they
By
won
the
the
same, with the same.
But I mean, what's
But you see your +6 -6.
zero?
Is zero.
You're not a negative.
But then it's suspected that they've been doing. It's suspected that they've been doing this. And then in the morning, I was talking to somebody who was like, "Who years ago in Tokyo?"
That's correct.
Yeah, they might have done the same thing, spying on the opponent, getting the results by countering on the tactics from the training.
That's necessary.
Well, by all means necessary is not something that anyone would. Just how do you look at the way people others go send they send somebody to go sit next
In a ticket at the annex. Yeah.
Here you're putting the context of a place you're familiar with across Mombasa, but will not comment.
Let's check FC.
Well, so you have it, the final group match. Move on to the quarterfinals. Well, at 2 p.m. today, this is what I'd like to bring in. Because this is a sport that she's very passionate about, volleyball. And Kenya will be playing against Brazil. That's when it will serve off. Agnes, just taking a look at the team that we saw change, their, but I think for the last 5 years, from around 2019, and to Tokyo after the 2004 games, and now it's a back-to-back Olympics for them.
It's a good effort especially for 8 players who will be making a debut at the Olympics and having return to the Olympics. So basically, Kenya is working with a slightly not well qualified players, but basically just what. And if for me, if they can score above 15, for me, it will be a plus for them. But and get some, recruits or coaches, get them, have them professional still. But basically just them, most of those players, 8 players making it to the Olympics for the first plus. Again, we come up against strong teams who are ranked above us. Look at second in the world, look at Poland third, and then Italy, Japan. We come up against a very tough squad.
If you thought you had problems.
No, we don't want this, just want problems.
Yeah, and then we come in as underdogs. So for me, 15 and try and get a set, for me, it will be a win for me.
Are we saying that we're looking at sevens? Because for Malkia strikers, they've not won a set in the Olympics.
Yes.
So it may continue.
Yes.
Okay.
For a second now,
started with yours, I was thinking.
For Miramas, they had to go there. Now, where we got a few pointers from the National Olympic Committee Secretary. The sports that they're taking to the Olympics to give. As pointed out, not really fencing, but like rugby, they went. Time they went to Tokyo, and in Rio, yeah. And then they participated in Tokyo, and now they came to compete. So, and you see, it's coming to fruition because at least they got a win. So for Malkia strikers, I think from is it 2000 in Sydney, yeah, and then they came back in Rio. In this now back to back. It means that right now they are not looking at maybe coming out of that set, that elusive set that Agnes is saying here. So also in this squad will help them, because right now I believe they have close 8 players participated in Tokyo. Five.
Yes, 5.
Yeah, 5 players. Sorry, 5 players. And that means that there's some experience that they carried from the previous campaign 3 years ago. If you look at how they've lined up, they've not had the flashy, the most flashy preparations to Tokyo. They had all their COVID restrictions, but they had very good preparations.
But we also have international players in the team, right?
Veronica and Sharon Chepchumba.
Yeah.
So let me, Agnes, let's talk about. For a very long time, Kenya's volleyball history was tied to Japan. Starting 2019, we saw in Demura with the Brazilians. What was the impact on how they played that sport? With the Brazilians, worked with them around the Olympics, the African Games, and things.
The outcome was there for everyone to see, but getting them to start training the likes of Agrippina Kundu, new basic from Brazilian, the Malkia strikers or Kenya in that style, you know. So trying to get them, somebody like Masimoim, to start basics of Brazil. We got it wrong, but if we had maybe that kind of arrangement, but now get that arrangement, school, say Kesagon, Kwanzanze, Lugulu, maybe in 2028, or we could. For me, it we flopped, getting them, the 5B coaches to come and now have matured, who are actually on their way out. Yeah, so there was an impact. Cameroon have been beating us from 2015 at Africa Cup of Nations. So yes, there was something there. Program to the upcoming players is where we missed.
For the young players, with the 8 debutants that we're going to watch,
impact.
Especially in the style of play, we saw the league playoffs. It was just about, what, 3 weeks left.
Yeah.
So through the season, because it's very interesting that Kenya has, you know, beat Cameroon, who've bought, and it's actually a squad which would say domestic play.
I was impressed with actually Belinda Barasa, Pamela Adhiambo, the Challenger Cup FIB in Philippines. They just ended Philippines. So I believe they will actually squad, the fringe players, if you ask me, they did very well. And like the first, who are fielded the first time. So I'm expecting to see some improvement from the same players, and hopefully I give them a professional stints. But I still insist, as we will proceed to the knockout stage, zero expectations.
That's so realistic,
Again, like earning that. Because now, if you need to qualify for Olympics, you need now to get points. When you beat, say, to 25-20, 25-18, 25-17, it's a fair play. But you see, when 25-8, 25-3, I mean, really, how do you start when next year, and then African Cup of Nations? So those are some of the tournaments that actually propel you to Olympics.
We know we have a truthful man in the country. Now we have a truthful woman.
No.
I'm actually very grateful. I think I had my sights set on the wrong things. Now I know. While watching that game, what
you'll enjoy and you'll watch to enjoy.
To look at
Let's push.
Yes, let's push. So my expectations now are well contained.
Yeah.
That compared to the what Greg said, Brenda Roju.
We left it for rugby.
Now it's tricky.
Looking at, you know, the rest of, you know, let's basically talk about this field that we are going to see in volleyball. You know, there's France, China, the US, Turkey. You know, you're just looking at, you look at it and all you see is, let me see, it's the who's who of the who's who in women's volleyball. How is it going, you know, as it heads to the business end?
Actually, our pool, because now you have to qualify, the 2 first team qualify for knockout, and then now the best loser. If you look at our Poland, Brazil, and Japan, really, group will be getting the three qualifiers to the next. A has what?
States, China, France, and Serbia.
China and United in that group, and Pool C.
Turkey, Dominican Republic,
and the Netherlands. I am banging on them. So these other teams can now, I see Pool B producing 3 teams to proceed to the knockout stage.
Well, and so Agnes, just to reiterate, Kenya is playing against teams ranked number, first of all?
Number 2. Poland number 3, and
number 8.
Then Japan number
8.
And Kenya, we ranked?
We are proud we are the number 1 in Africa, so maybe a consolation there.
This is the one you say, where?
And okay, actually, before we say where, the qualification system for volleyball.
Yes.
For any. And what people do not know is that we are African champions, but they would have lost the ranking points if Cameroon had gotten in the 30th of June. Yes. How tough is it, for someone to, you have your eyes on Paris, but you don't know what, but you're also keeping the other eye on your opponents in case to earn them points.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do for Kenya, I think, to field the team in as many tournaments as we can. Basing our mind that if say we play against Senegal and Senegal beats us fairly, we now start struggling because now we are looking at beat Egypt, for example, which means they add more points. So basically, from is as win as many games as you can, then yes, pray that won't do well, but it's difficult now going forward because unlike previously where you beat Cameroon, you qualify the sole representative for Africa, but this time I think for the better, I think it's a good place. Yeah.
Well, actually, we'll be coming back to that conversation because playing in the Philippines, something came out is that competitions are going to be few and tough and to ensure that the teams have got a lot of activity. In studio with me, Willie Wex, Makandia. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be taking a short break, then we'll come back, have just some little more conversation so that, Agnes can just really give us the context and the out kind of competition that we'd want coming up in just a few minutes.
Unajua, token mita yako inahitaji system update. Na ni free! Ukipata ujumbe kutoka Kenya Power, yani weka kodi ya kwanza kureset, alafu weke kodi ya pili ku-up. Update token mita yako. Kuna Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
France for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. In This edition, heroic Team Kenya is pushing boundaries.
An Olympic gold medal.
More significantly, claiming victory at the quadrennial sporting event comprising of 45 sports that will of July through to the 11th of August. Comes a dose for everyone.
Yes, it is!
For the athlete, it is chasing a dream. For the fan, witness history in the making, live and exclusive. Channel 1, your true sports partner.
On we are a TV station like no other. Entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of
The drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
The laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani.
Wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa
To the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package. Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning, the 20th of July 2024. Having conversations around sport looks more way like a media roundtable, but as we take a look at the opening weekend when it comes to Olympic Games, you know, Shuja, they finished 9th overall. Malkia strikers are in action these afternoon. Tolo, you know, lose after what I would call death in the table of 32. That's the language they use in Juan Mohammed eliminated in the 400-meter freestyle event, the final. So let's continue with this conversation. In studio with me on my Agnes Mahandia. She is a sports writer and volleyball, where, you know, she's very strong around it. We've got Gregory Mulemi. He's part of our commentary team for the FKF Pandit, and we've got Willie Wex. And let me just come back to you, Agnes. And we know that finishing this, you said opportunities for example, for the Malkia strikers, if they are to now qualify. But after the series that was in the Philippines, turning out that if you're not at the top, you might not join that club. Available. If we were to even say, let's get active in Africa, that we know Cameroon, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria.
Starting with the FIVB Challenger Cup, at least we got some points there because Puerto Rico is ranked above us. So now we have to focus on the Cup of Nations and, as I said earlier, World Championship. So if we from the training, from the technical perspective, then I don't see Kenya going back. I don't see it going back. But look at Cameroon. Cameroon have been doing well. I think 6 of them in France, sorry. So basically, them and Egypt have been. There will be a good test or a opponent for Malkia strikers. As I said earlier, then I don't see Malkia strikers going back to Olympics 2028.
And this is what the Federation has been trying have more games indoors. The nature of volleyball at this level is that it's an indoor sport, but the surface is different. We play it on grass or dust, it on wood. How have you seen this changing the quality with the local competition? Because that's where we've got the bulk of our squad from.
I think it has been our clubs who participated in the Africa Club of Championship, say Kenya Prisons and Kenya Pipeline. And they did well, and the indoor, I think it's giving them an upper hand, and compared to the matches have been played outside the arena. You know, you go to serve, say in a windy place, you are coming to serve a ball in indoor. The space, I mean, the centimeters of serving, a wide space. You choose where to serve from because of, you know, the wide range of the you are squeezed or limited, for lack of a better word. So basically, playing because our club teams participated well and performed well at the club championship.
Also talk about, you know, development, because there is a lot that you know, we can talk about development. What is it that you're seeing with especially when it comes to women's volleyball in the schools sector? Just take us through.
I think we have flopped at that place. Yataka Kioni was there. I remember we used to have you know, a training camp December, but since 2017 or 18 thereabout, we haven't done such. So our management led by Nyabere and Paul Bitok, I think they'll revive it for you know, for club, you know, from the secondary school to club to national team, but we haven't promoting the development of the sport in secondary school, if you ask me.
Yeah. Now, the African Championships that, you know, we've seen, where's the next, the feedback from the club level and also from, because interesting teaching staff are also within from our club system. What is the feedback that's the future threat? So that people they know, so that we stop that this is a slot we must have.
We actually do away with our local coaches and we get a FIVB coach, so that there is neutrality. Because now people are saying, okay, maybe I'm a coach, for example, coach, and now you need to say few players from Kenya Pipeline, few players from Kenya Prisons, from national team. And like when you have a neutral coach, where, you know, basically he or is to be in that team. So basically we need a foreign coach for neutral, you know, picking from where we are now and building on the young players who are coming up, like Berin. I don't see this experienced players, Triza Tuka, Agrippina Kundu, you know.
Wisa.
Yeah, Edith Wisa, you know, for the next 5 years. So we need a proper coach, neutral one, to just come from and start from scratch. Go to secondary school, Kesagon, Lugulu, Kwanzanze, Soweto. You know, you have to have 6 players from Kenya Pipeline. You have to have 5 players from KCB. You know,
the quota system of joining national schools way back. It's not what we want. You know, with a school about 160 or so, such a number. So overall, Gregory, everyone goes to watch the the women's league, the men's league. Which way forward? I mean, after, you know, for.
I think it will boil down to youth development. In focusing more on nurturing talent from schools, and she's just mentioned some of the schools that have over the talents into the limelight, and I'm looking at even the which allows for sports to be
a sports pathway.
Yeah, a pathway. An examinable thing, which means that right now I think we can say period of time. I'm not sure about 2028 if we'll be ready to have a team that will be competing, not Olympics. Give ourselves, let's say, 2 windows so that in 2032 we have be actually very ready to, let's say, win a set or even get out of the group stages. Current setup that the government has put, of course, we have the different talent hubs in the country, of course, down there at Kasarani, which can play a bigger role in ensuring that all the dreams that lies not only in the women's game but also in the men game. Just like they started the Talanta Hela thing, other sports which are more recognizable internationally or globally should also be taken into with that keen interest that will allow at least have something that now we are like, if you want a footballer, you know, the long time ago we were like, if you want to go to tour game, you have to go to Kakamega High School. If you want to be a good volleyballer, you go to Lugulu. And change because the country is so wide and some talents have not been discovered because we're going to look at them, and maybe when they're scouted, when they come into competing with the big girls or the big boys, you find that there's something they miss, the basics. So if you can have these local coaches help in scouting, and then, as Agi says, have trained coaches scout, nurture, and of course help in making sure the ball team that is selected has a different dimension and really work miracles. Forget about 2028, as she said, and it's good to be ready, but maybe in 2032, if we put down the proper structures, we will.
People had their hopes at 10 feet high. Now that
10 out of 20.
But there's a statement. An Olympian, currently a roaming chef, Dennis Ombachi, one of he enabled Kenya even to qualify for.
Actually, he's the one who qualified Kenya
for the
20
rugby against Zimbabwe.
Against Zimbabwe, yes.
In their turf. Ombachi of Olympic Games is in participating and not competing. They picked up this one after they lost the 3
games in Rio.
Yes, and that's when the spirit came in. That
and the reality,
is to that is not to dispute Agi and Greg, but to say that, you know, if you look at France 7th, France 7th, this is the year 2024. 2020 strong team, even in the 7th series. I'm looking at
Ireland.
Yes, even in the 15th. So I'm looking at us. Let's not disqualify ourselves, say not enough, because rebuilds happen across the world, as you stated. School level and even at club level, if things are done differently, we can have a very good result. It does not only happen in one country. You look at even the other countries' teams. No one is as a constant. Fiji, for all of us, it was 7th.
There's been that transition.
France has been doing a build over, and that's why it was easier for them to beat Fiji in that final. Even for
and
us,
also they were at home.
Yes, for us, 2016 HSBC series in Singapore, we had done a build. We would make a final. By the time we're coming to our second final, we're like, no, this one we have to get it. So it's more of
trusting the process.
Yes, as long as there's a process. As long as there's a process, it.
Okay, so there we have it, and you know we're going to be talking because that's where all the medals, apart from about 7 medals of the 133. Only 7 have not come, the others have come from boxing. And a gold.
A gold in 88.
In 88.
Yeah.
But let's following some of the local scene. And Wex and Gregory, I know you've been part of what was going on at the Cape Kano Classic. The 100.
Wow.
Do you want to talk about the guys with the fastest times? Or
the one event everyone's focused on it.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing to have the world's fastest being the highlight of an Olympics, because this has traditionally been one of the key events. And then the last two Olympics, 2016, 2020, compared to the other years. For going into 2024, 100 meters, you have the likes of
Thompson.
Actually, Thompson. You have Omanyala. You have Noah Lyles. You have
Blake.
Coming from
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Is third, yeah.
Yes. Blake. You have what's it called? Akani Simbine. There's a whole list of people who can be able to do some great thing in that, and it's an opportunity for not only Africa but Kenya to. This is a sprint, and I believe closest we've gone to is making maybe a second round or making a final, but not winning. So how well can we be able to change that? That's 100 meters.
Yeah. To be precise, we'll be all on third at around this time. So it will be a working day, but it will not be normal. But I'm looking at 100 meters happened in history where we have 8 sub-9s competition, and that tells you that the gaps are so small. The margins are something that right now clearly. I know the USA will be, because they have the world title. They have dominated the last 2 world championships in Oregon and of course in Budapest, Hungary. But I'm looking at this field where Thompson would come from to record 9.76. So he wasn't really in the picture, let's say 2 months ago.
Yes.
But when this classic and of course show everyone else what he's capable of doing, guys were like, wait a minute, we only thought about Bednarek, thought about Freddie Curley, but look at this guy, 21 years. He has the potential of even lowering the fastest time. The fastest time in 100 meters since 2021 when Omanyala and who? The 9.77. The 100 meters will be so close to call, but it will be operations and how come this talented group of sprinters in the preliminary rounds and the round 1 hits, because you find that most heading to a major competition, someone trips. Reminds me of Usain Bolt. Was it in 2015?
No, it was he started Daegu 2011. Yes.
Daegu
just suddenly became empty.
Yeah, the stadium became empty.
The mom stayed stupid boy.
What happened is that he on Gatlin's yeah, is that at that time it takes a split of a second to make a decision, in that when they say on your marks, get set, and then your mind and says go. You don't know if the gun has gone, but it's something just says go. In Daegu 2011, and you see that's also going to happen in Paris. If one of the big names falls out, we've not even talked about Marcel Jacobs, the current Olympic. These are names that you look at, you're like, yes.
But is Marcel anywhere close to what he was?
He is, because he's championship title 1 month ago, 991.
No, but like in any on a spark.
He's done. I think he's won. He's not won any, and I think he's doing that preserve, whereby he doesn't In Kenya, we call it kuficha white.
I wish to remember Marcel Jacobs when he came here for the Kip Keino Classic.
No,
you know where that one was going.
We know what you fed him. You had to go back.
What he did, he ate chapodondo. It wasn't really. Who did the chapodondo?
Okay, pasta. Okay, whatever he did. So let's come to this, Agnes. Let me come to you. Kenya. The time that we have got a women's field like team like this one. You've got Faith Kipyegon, world record holder. When she breaks them there, we saw Beatrice at the Prefontaine Classic, breaking the 10,000. And then we've got Mary Moraa, how the Diamond League is shaping up. Let's look at these three women, because as far as medals are concerned, how have you seen their build-up, following?
I think kwa mtandao, because I'm not big on athletics, but I think many people are banging on to bring that to medal. Moraa has also done very well. So to pick from what people are saying, that there might be the three girls that from. So yeah, I'm rooting for them, and let's see how it goes. Yeah.
There's a final that is happening.
I just say for the ladies, I'm rooting in the marathon.
Obiri or Paris.
From those three, we are taking 2, gold and silver.
Okay.
That's what I'm rooting for.
Okay. That is it. Yeah. All right. But yes.
Is it on second? We have the final of the 10,000 meters.
Yeah.
The men 10,000 meters. One interesting fact is that time we held our 10,000 meters trials out of the car. And this time around, it also happened in Eugene. And I'm looking at this lineup: Daniel Mateiko, Nicholas Kipkorir, giving them a chance. Just by the virtue that there was one from
Ethiopia,
Cheptegei, and also Kiplim. I'm in for the way I've been watching this Daniel Mateiko run this season. I believe many athletics pundits. I watched him the meets and then watched him at the trials, and of course at the Kip Keino Classic. I'm like, there's something that people haven't realized, and it's just a matter of time before. In Paris 2024, it's going to happen in Tokyo 2025, the World Championships. I'm looking at they're using a more preservative approach heading into this one, just like Jacobs is doing. And this lineup, I believe, a medal, we might be celebrating our first medal, because also the 100 meters is on the way. And just something I was forgetting about the 100 meters. They say that coming from the preliminaries to the heat semis is the most difficult. No, it's not. To me, I'll say to the finals is the most difficult hurdle for any sprinter. If you just blink in the semi-final and you're there waiting to be the fastest.
That's it.
Yeah, so it all depends on how you handle the semi-finals. And I pray that Ferdinand Omanyala, who's the second this year, calms his nerves, ensures that he gets, because he'll not be in the preliminaries, because he'll be in heat one. Because in the 100 meters, we have the preliminaries, then the heat one.
Yes.
As you the semi-finals, let him do what he does best, and then get the best. If it depends also with the lane that you are in, unless you want to try something like which is a rare thing by the way. But if Ferdinand can't get into the semi-final positions or even win his semi-final heat, get either the fourth or the to celebrate him something special.
All right. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be giving you the. So Agnes, you go first about the Olympics. Usitukumbushe tena.
Ashavunja roho. Asifinye zaidi.
Asifinye zaidi.
saying no, proper Olympics begin today with Godimba is on today.
No, Thursday morning.
Yeah, so proper Olympics begin with athletics. Yeah, but as Will say, the overall inspiration or consolation is to participate in the Olympics. So for any other athletes that hope, it's an overall achievement. So we are here to support Team Kenya. Let's see what.
Gregory?
We've been performing so dismally in Europe in the Olympics. Was in steeplechase, 1 gold medal to be precise. We got 2 courtesy of Rudisha and Kemboi. The only special moment was the Rudisha breaking the world record, and right now we're heading into Kenya doesn't perform really well in Europe. Let's see, can we get...
Interesting, because when you mentioned Barcelona, I think we had the steeplechase, the 800.
So if we can get 3+ gold medals in I believe that will be a successful Olympics for Kenya in Europe.
In perspective, Europe is not where it goes well. Asia is where everything thrives.
Yeah, just Kenya. Of course, Rio was the best ever.
Yes.
But in Asia, it always happened.
I just wind it up is that first to just acknowledge and commend the athletes who make it to the world. You're very unique to have made it to that cut. So I would wish first to commend of the Olympics that you participate. First and foremost, you go and you're over time, you're able to see, okay, so what are they doing different? What can we do different? For me, mine, it's all systems go. This is the week where, as you said, proper Olympics. Olympics started for us last week. It's all right. Okay. No, bro, we played after. For me, just to commend everyone who's participating. And let's not put pressure into something which we may not have going through, like especially for the volleyball ladies. But in terms of the track, I believe we're able to call and say the number of goals we're looking into. I'll be looking at Kenya. 5 medals, because I'm not ruling out the marathons, and a good chance of doing well. In terms of Africa, no one is beating us in the athletics. So, thank you.
All right. Very well. Gregory Bulemi and Agnes Makandia, breaking it down to against Brazil, and like Agnes has told us, Brazil are number 2. Japan are number 8 in the world. Kenya is ranked 20th. So, to relax. With that information, is now down to you 100%. Asanteni sana.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's now move over to the coast and have a story about the Kilifi. From the 21st to the 27th for 1 week, Kilifi, was hosting the world and out at sea. And joining us is a sailing competitor and coach, Evans Simiu, who's joining us. He's a member of the Mombasa Yacht Club. Evans, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
So let's just start with this, because I can see at the yacht, at the club, you can see all the trophies, but just give us the whole background of the sailing week, where you had the fireballs, you had the lasers, and also optimist racing.
Sorry, say again.
Okay, let's first of all, just tell us about the Kilifi, the outlook for it, and the reaction that was there from the people who are watching.
Yeah, it was a great event. We had from Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania.
So there you go. First of all, first was the East African Fire. Take us, through this event that was happening down at the Kilifi Boatyard. Basically, the Kilifi Boatyard and the Kilifi Bowl.
Hello.
Hello, Evans. Maybe I'll ask my director, Brian, just to help, Evans get back into the conversation about the Kilifi Sailing Week. Let's hope that Evans has this. So maybe my Evans get his sound right. And in the meantime, what we can do, we give you a quick feature on Beatrice Chepkoech, the world record holder in
Today I'm joined by the record holder of a 3,000 meter steeplechase, that is Beatrice Chepkoech, as the for the Olympic Games, where she'll be making her third appearance. Beatrice.
Yes, I'm ready. Yeah.
So how is the preparations? This is third time. You have been there twice before. How has it been for you?
Going on well, and I'm looking forward to Paris, and my aim is to be in podium. Yeah.
Has achieved a lot in the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase, but there is one medal that has eluded her all along. The Olympic world record holder graced her first Olympic Games in 2016 in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, but could only finish fourth. That was won by Bahrain's Ruth Jebet in a nation record of 8 minutes, 59.7. Having Kieng of Kenya, as Beatrice posted a personal best of 9 minutes, 16.05 seconds.
Jeb Kamoy recovering, and she might get silver. But can Ruth Jebet, the Kenyan-born, break the world record? 8:56, 8:57, 8:58. She's going to be just outside the world. 8:59.77, a new PB. She takes gold, and Coburn's very happy with her bronze. What a race, Andrew.
Because she has managed to stage another personal best, and of course she has by winning the women's 3,000 steeplechase ever since she left Kenya.
The next game Tokyo in 2020, but the medal still proved elusive for Kenya as Beatrice dropped to taking the bronze, as Uganda Ruth Chemutai won the gold in a new national record of 9 minutes.
She gets Chemutai. Chemutai running hard from Uganda. Ruth Chemutai, she's going to do it. At the World Championships in 2017, does she have another global medal for herself? 50 to go, and the hand is raised. Ruth Chemutai, the Olympic champion, on for second. Look at the joy from her face, and Kiyang from Kenya. What a fantastic piece of running by Frericks, and what a great measuring your opponent. And Chemutai didn't let her get too far away. When it got a little uncomfortable, she knew that she had to go, made her move.